I've had a few requests to be on YouTube. So here we go. I am taking the podcast to another platform and specifically with the request of my travels. For those who have paid attention, I love to get out of town whenever I can. And recently I just went to New York City for the day. Now, some people think this is crazy, and I've had a few comments or messages where people are like, what? Why? Keep in mind that I have traveled solo since I was about 15, 16 years old. When I first moved to Florida from Missouri, I wanted to go visit my friends. So I flew back home to Missouri to hang out with some friends. Ever since then, I was hooked. Now, traveling to New York City by yourself is something that you might want a little bit of travel experience with because it can be pretty complicated with the subway system and very overwhelming if you've never been in a big city before. I have been to New York a few times, so I've seen a lot of the touristy stuff. I was on a mission just to get some fall crisp air, some leaves, and all of the stuff that you cannot get in Florida. Let's talk about money. I am a budget girl. The flight was $90 to get there that morning at 10 a.m., and I would leave at 10 p.m. Now, if I wanted to go to Halloween Horror Nights here in Florida, tickets would start at the lowest $125, going up to about $150 depending on the day you go. General parking at Universal is $35. So we're talking $35 plus the $150 for the ticket. That's $185 right there alone. Now, for my $90 round trip ticket, it costs $14 to store my truck one day in economy. I believe it cost me around $20 to take the air train from Newark to get into the city at Penn Station. I took a few subway rides throughout the city, as well as one Uber trip. Including my food, I probably spent about $200, maybe $220. I literally only showed up with my small purse, and that's it. I came home with my small purse. I did bring a little sample pack of hot sauces from Brooklyn. Other than that, I wasn't really on a mission to shop or spend a bunch of money. I just wanted to go to the park and eat and just wander around and enjoy the weather. At Halloween Horror Nights, that $185, that doesn't even include any of your food or the gas it is to get there or any additional expenses. Since I'm coming home that night, I didn't need to splurge on a hotel. So first things first, I had to get my coffee. I get a caramel latte to start my day as soon as I was spit out of the subway at Penn Station. It was a little over a mile to get to the park, but I decided, fuck it. I'm here to get some steps in, and I'm here to enjoy this sweet, cool air. And so that's exactly what I did. I walked over a mile to get to the park. But first I stopped at Charcuterie, which is a charcuterie place right next to the park. Ended up getting a small charcuterie for one to enjoy at the park. Took that to go, found a beautiful rock that was right in the sun and golden yellow leaves falling all around me. This was exactly what I wanted. It was literally the perfect weather, and I couldn't have gotten more lucky. I spent about an hour enjoying the sun at the park and then decided to wander the park. So I started at the bottom of the park, worked my way up to the Met. So I ended up passing the fountain and some of the touristy things that you probably recognize. I've seen those before, so I didn't spend a lot of time there. I just kind of took it all in. I wandered around Upper East Side for a little bit, and then I took 86th Street Station to the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, how do I know where to go? I just literally pull up my GPS, and you know how you can select drive, walk? Well, there's also the local transit. I select that, and it shows me the best way to get there and which subway systems to take, which trains to take. It's really super easy if you're good at following directions. That spit me out right at the Brooklyn Bridge, which was perfect and exactly what I wanted. So I took the walk across the bridge into Brooklyn. Now, there's a little area called Dumbo over there that's super cute. There's flea markets and some fun little indie shops. I highly recommend checking it out. I ended up taking an Uber to Williamsburg and enjoyed the view at the pier, wandered around, and got some Joe's Pizza because you have to have pizza when you're in Brooklyn, and Joe's is apparently where it's at. For this particular trip, I spent a lot more time wandering around than checking things off of my bucket list because I'm coming back again next Tuesday with my daughter. So I'm saving some special spots for my trip with her. However, there's still so many great spots and views you can find, or even if you just want to wander and see where the day takes you, kind of like I did, why not? I wore some very comfortable walking shoes and a leggings kind of workout type outfit with a sweater so that I had layers in case I got warm, which I did, or cool at times because the sun was out, but it was still a little chilly with the wind. I was very light in everything that I had, and it was nice to not feel like I'm lugging around a bunch of shit. At the end of the day, solo traveling can be really fun and adventurous, and it doesn't have to break your bank account. You can really be budget friendly. And the way I justified it, which maybe this is girl math, but instead of spending all of that money going to Halloween Horror Nights, I decided to go to New York City because why the fuck not? And honestly, if the flight was cheaper somewhere else, I would have ended up there. So I kind of let fate or the price of tickets decide where my destination is. And I enjoy it. New York City was a lot of fun. I've been before. I'll definitely go back. I love getting my seasons in somehow. And this year it happened to be New York City. In total, I had about 25,000 steps done. And this was by the time I got to the airport. So I didn't include any steps after that. But I think it was a really good day of getting some fresh air and getting a little exercise and seeing the beautiful fall leaves. I have no regrets. Okay, now where should I go next month? I figured I would answer a few common questions that I get asked. One question I was recently asked was, how do you know what to do? Well, again, I've been to New York City before, so I already know what I've seen. I had a mission. My mission was to get some fall vibes. I wanted the weather and some leaves. So Central Park was my priority. Now, if you have never been to a city before, you definitely want to do your research. I recommend doing research so there are no surprises. For example, the subway system can be kind of stressful, so you want to understand how it works. You also want to have an idea of where you want to go because you don't want to go somewhere in Upper East Side and then go back down to Brooklyn and then, oops, I also had this place on my list that's back up that way. You want to be planned out. For me, instead of doom scrolling for hours, sometimes I will turn the doom scrolling into travel scrolling and I will look at the map. I'm like almost an expert by the time I get to this city. I will literally look at the map, see how far these are from other destinations, and kind of plan out the vicinity and my game plan. In the Notes app, I keep a list of the places I absolutely for sure want to go. I'll sometimes even include the address so I can look it up on the map and see how far away they are from the other places I want to go. I also have a B list of places that I'd love to see if I happen to pass or be in the vicinity, but they're not the priority. There's multiple ways you can find out what's cool, what's going on, and get the scoop on the city that you're going to visit. Number one, you can always post on Facebook and say, hey, I'm going to New York City. Who has a recommendation? And you can get recommendations that way from friends who have traveled there before. You can also give it a Google. I will get very specific and put Monday, October 27th, New York City, and find what's going on that particular day. For those of you who use ChatGPT, that's not a terrible option as well. You can also ask ChatGPT and say, hey, what's going on in New York City that day? It's also good to plan ahead because sometimes tickets or certain events can be sold out by the time you get there. So it's good to have a game plan a little bit. Again, for me, this particular trip, I was winging it, but I normally do like to have somewhat of a plan, or at least I know all of my options so that I can wing it still, but be educated and prepared. So how do I find these flights? I love Google Flights. If you go to Google Flights, you can hit explore and that pulls up the full map. So that way you're not looking just specifically for typing in each city one at a time. You can look at the map and it'll show you Atlanta, Chicago, New York City, and it has the price. You can fine tune it. You can select the month that you're looking for. For example, if you want to go somewhere in December, you can select December and look at all of the flights in December and how much they're going to cost. It's top tier because that's where you can really get creative. You can also use Expedia, and some people have other preferences like Kayak. So everybody will have a different preference, but that's just what I like to use. Another part of my system is I like to travel really light. Say I'm not doing a day trip, but I want to do a weekend or a night or two, maybe even 3 days. I like to pack light. I want to wear my backpack, which is my personal item, which you might also want to confirm the size of that personal item because it can vary for each airline. But I like to just bring on my backpack that I can tuck underneath my seat. I don't like to check a bag, it takes more time. I don't like to carry on a bag because it doubles, sometimes even triples the cost of your flight. I believe some airlines it is $70 each way for that suitcase. So if it's 70 each way, that's $140. If I'm flying round trip for $90, I do not want to add $140 to carry around some luggage. So learn to pack small. For some people, that might be tough. But for me, I've become very accustomed to it. Facebook can also be a handy tool for figuring out if there's anything exciting going on. You can go to the events in Facebook, put the city, and you can select the time frame. At the end of the day, why wait? Some people have these destinations or these plans or trips they want to go to, and maybe they're single at the time or don't have any friends that are down for an adventure. You can have an adventure without somebody being there too. You can totally enjoy it on your own. There's nothing wrong with that. I have a great time by myself. And then lastly, I have a few people that ask me if I'm scared or they'll tell me it's very brave. I do agree. Sometimes I forget that it is kind of something that could be scary. I recognize that as a woman, I have to always be aware of my surroundings. They do also have some TSA approved things that you can bring on. There's a pen that it could act as a weapon or a form of protection, and it's TSA approved. So it's not a terrible idea to have something like that. I personally share my location with several different friends, so they know where I'm at. If anything happens to me, I've got about 4 or 5 different friends and also family members who have my location. If I were to go missing, at least some people know where I'm at. I think it's very important to be mindful of safety. It should definitely be prioritized. That's also why I like to be educated in where I'm going. I like to know what could happen and what to do in certain situations. You don't want to put yourself in a position to where you could get lost or, your phone dies and now what do you do? Even on my little trip to New York, I brought my phone charger and I brought a power pack to keep my phone charged and just made sure that I had a certain amount of battery so that I wasn't stranded or in a position that could be scary. Again, you want to be prepared. Pinterest is also another helpful tool for figuring out what I want to do. Sometimes I'll have a Pinterest board for certain locations and I'll add to it in case I ever do make it that way. For example, when I went on a cruise, I had a Pinterest board for the cruise because I wanted to know what are the tips and tricks for being on a cruise? Like, how do you do XYZ or bring in whatever? It's good to know. So then I'm educated, I'm prepared. Thanks for listening. I hope I answered most of these questions for you. You can always reach out if you have any other questions, and I will try my best to keep sharing content on my travel hacks. And yeah, let's go on a fucking adventure.